Okay, so I got both my streams. Welcome to Money Monday. We're back after a short hiatus. So we're going to give people an opportunity to get on the live, and then we'll go ahead and get started promptly at 9 o'clock. Tonight, we're going to be talking about rebuilding your savings. So I'm excited for that. I'm going to make sure that my volume is up. Candy, welcome to Money Monday. Thank you for joining. Okay, up. Give me a second. I'm just making sure everything is in good order. I'm excited to be back. Thank you all for giving me a hiatus. I have some exciting news for you guys that I'll be sharing once we get started. Hey, Michelle, welcome to Money Monday. And then we're going to be talking about rebuilding your savings. I'm going to talk about how to do that, what that looks like, some things you want to consider before you're actually making a big purchase, all of that. So we'll give people an opportunity to get on, and then we'll start. We got about 3 minutes to go. So let's give people a chance to hop on. And let me know if you guys can hear me well. Just give me some hearts so that I can double check before we get started. Okay, thank you, Candy. Yeah, I have another cold. Taking me back to the days when people wore their mask and kept their germs to themselves. So if I'm coughing a little, just excuse me, please. But I do have my water here, so I'll stop talking until 9 o'clock. That way I can minimize my coughs. Okay. Okay, we have about another minute and then we'll get started. Okay, time is counting down. Okay, so we'll get started a few minutes early, just to make sure that we're on time. Okay, so welcome to Money Mondays. As I said, you guys know we took a few weeks off. Last week was the holiday, so that was 1 week. And then 2 weeks before that, I kind of needed some time to readjust, realign, rest, get some things in good order. And so I needed that time. But the big news that I wanted to share with you all was my husband and I actually bought a new house. And so that gave me some time to move in. I'm still living in a sea of boxes, but at least I have most of the things unpacked. Hey, Jalea, welcome to Money Mondays. We still have a ton of boxes over there off camera. You guys can't see them, but we're in our new home and we're settling in and we're excited. So those 3 weeks gave us an opportunity to just breathe, right? You know, moving is stressful. Trying to find things are stressful. And so that's why we took some time off. So thank you for your patience. I'm glad to be back. You know, art imitates lives. Life imitates lives. And so if you guys noticed, hey, Alicia, welcome to Money Monday. I hope I pronounced your name right. Thank you, Michelle. If you guys noticed, for the past couple months, I've been talking about home buying and what that looks like. I shared my ebook about buying a home that I wrote last year. And I'm going to update that for you all just with some things that I found out about this new process. I hadn't been through the process probably in 14 or 15 years, something like that. So I'm going to update that ebook with kind of what the process was like for me this time around, and for my husband, especially since we bought our home together, and what that looked like, you know, how to prepare, so on and so forth. So if you're in the market for a new home, or you want to buy a house, or maybe you want to buy a house and you haven't bought one in years, that ebook will help you. So I'll be putting that out. I believe it's still linked. Inbox me if you want that ebook, and I'll make sure I get it to you. Excuse me. Okay. Now that that's done, that's my big news. That's my exciting news. I'll be posting pictures on Facebook. So if we're friends on Facebook, you guys can kind of just take a you can take a peek at what we bought. You know, just to have something of our own. You know, the market down here is very aggressive. It's very competitive. And so we knew that this was the right step for us. All right. Now, for Money Monday, let's talk about rebuilding your savings. So this is kind of where we are right now. We being myself and my husband is rebuilding our savings. Now, this is going to be helpful to you if you you have a large purchase, if you have an emergency, maybe you have a surprise that you weren't anticipating. Maybe it's not an emergency, but it's just something that you were not anticipating. You always want to rebuild that savings back up, okay? There's a different level of peace that you get when you have an expense for whatever, and you know you can cover it, right? You get in an accident, maybe you have a deductible, you know, maybe you need a new battery, or you need new tires for your car, you know, the kids need something, you have a home repair, whatever it is, you're going to be more confident when you know that you can cover that because you've been prepping, okay? So let's say that you bought something, you had an emergency, whatever, and now you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I rebuild my savings? That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Now, ideally, you want to have more than one savings account. You want to have a savings account that maybe you're saving for wants and things that you want, like a vacation, or, you know, some surgery or medical expense that you have coming up. And then you have emergencies, you know, a pipe bust, an accident, something like that that you have to pay for. So you want to typically have two different savings accounts. That way you can separate your emergency savings from your regular savings. Now, if you have, you know, a few $1,000s in one account, you can use that as your emergency savings. You can also use an investment account as an emergency savings. Make sure you find a strong stock, something that's not very it's not very volatile, so that you can put your savings in and make some money on it. But ideally, you want to have more than one savings account. If you have control over your spending, I'm reading my notes. If you have control over your spending, you know you're not transferring money to your savings and then back to your check-ins, that's when you could have one account. But ideally, you want to have two. Now, the first thing that you want to do when you are talking about rebuilding your savings happens before you actually spend the money. And this is going to be very true if it's not an emergency. You never want to spend all of your savings at once, right? Now, there are times when you may have to, but if you can avoid spending all of your savings at once, avoid it, okay? Because you always want to have that cushion just in case. So like in our example, we didn't spend all of our savings for our home purchase and moving and our down payment and all of that, but now we're at a point where we want to rebuild. And that gave us some wiggle room. And it'll give you some wiggle room if you have things come up, you know, maybe you have things happening on the back end that you still need some money for. Not spending all of your savings, 100% of your savings, is really going to help you with that, okay? Now, the first thing that you want to do when it's time to rebuild your savings, hey, Ebony, welcome to Money Monday. The first thing that you want to do when it's time to rebuild your savings is figure out how much you need to actually resave, right? Maybe you spent more than you anticipated. Maybe you want to save more than you had before. So the first thing is figuring out how much you actually want to save. Excuse me. You can use Goal Math to do that. And I've talked about Goal Math before. Goal Math is just taking the amount that you want to save. So let's say, for example, it's $1,000 and you divide it by the number of pay periods or the number of months or the number of weeks or however long it's going to take you to reach that goal. And that's how much you should save each pay period, right? So if you want to save $1,000 and you want to save $1,000 within 10 months, that's $100 a month. then you kind of can figure out, okay, every month I know I need to be saving at least $100 and not touching it, right? So use Goal Math to determine how much you actually want to save. The next thing that's going to help you rebuild your savings is to freeze your spending, right? It's hard to get water out the boat when water's still coming in the boat. So if you are trying to save money, but you're still spending a lot of money, more than you need to freeze your spending. Focus on the essentials only. Do a no spend challenge, cut something out, but really try to freeze your spending so that your savings can kind of get caught back up and your spending stays low. Okay. Something else that you want to do is cut your expenses. So meal prep, watch how much you're consuming, limit your entertainment, start cooking at home, watch your utility usage. All of that is going to help you rebuild your savings, because that money that you're wasting on eating out, that you're wasting on door dashing, you could be using to rebuild your savings. 5 is sell stuff. That's going to be probably the fastest thing that you can do. We all have stuff that we bought that we thought we would use and we didn't. And the fastest way to rebuild your savings is to just start selling that stuff. Whether you're selling it online, maybe you're doing like a Poshmark or eBay or an OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace, or you're having a garage sale. However you want to do it, just make sure you sell that stuff. And then lastly is to budget and track. You will hear me say this over and over. A strong budget is your foundation, right? The stronger your budget, the stronger your foundation. So once you start budgeting that money, and like I said earlier, using Goal Math, you can say, okay, let me plug this $100 into my budget. And I know that I'm automatically going to save X, Y, and Z within a month. So budget and then track. You're tracking to make sure that you're still on track to reach your goal. So if you know that you want to save, like I said earlier, $1,000 in 10 months, then you really want to be tracking how far you are to that goal. You don't want to get to month 9 and then you realize, oh, I only saved $25. That's not going to help you. So you really have to focus on budgeting and tracking as you're rebuilding your savings. Okay, that's it. That's all for Money Monday. Straight to the point. A lot of these things that you've heard before, I've talked about before, especially like Goal Math, cutting expenses, selling stuff. Those are all things that are going to help you. And I talk about them frequently because I want to make sure that it gets in, right? The more you hear something, the easier it becomes, the more it becomes like your daily life. It becomes something super easy to do, something super easy to incorporate. So these are tips that are going to help you rebuild your savings, but you can apply these to other areas in your financial future as well. Okay. Thank you guys for joining. We're going to keep going strong with Money Mondays. I only take, excuse me, I only take days off if I'm sick, like deathly sick. I'm sick now, but if I'm sick and I really can't talk, or, you know, we have a holiday or something like that, or an emergency or something like that. So yeah, I'll see you guys next Monday. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to work on rewriting that home buying ebook this week. And try to have that available by next Monday. So give me 7 days to really get in there and review the content, make sure it's in good order, make sure that it's applicable, make sure that it's useful to you, and then I will be resending that out and republishing that. Okay? Thank you, Candy. I hope to feel better. I'm actually feeling better. I just sound like a man, but what can you do? You guys have a good night. I will see you next Monday. Bye.